Hello there, Mr. Hoorn here. First of all, I apologize for maybe the video quality of the camera. I have scaled my video output up to 4K, and I'm not sure if the camera quality can handle that, so apologies for that first of all. Second, this video is upon a request of a member from the Mind Academy community, and it's a request for how I set my goals. So in this video, I will explain my methodology for goal setting, and I will do this from the top of my head, so it's not scripted, which means also the quality might be a little bit lower, but it's all right, I hope. Without further ado, let's get into it and enjoy and learn well. Okay, so here we are in what I call the alignment zone. It is primarily based on August Bradley's PPV. I highly recommend you check out his YouTube channel and his Pillars Pipelines Vault system, because it really changes lives. It will allow you to manage your life so much more easily. Okay, so my goal setting methodology is based on, well, PPV first of all, but also on certain principles from, for example, Dr. Justin Sung's I Can Study, Dr. Benjamin's Hardy 10x is easier than 2x, and a lot more of my readings throughout my five years of productivity experience and more. So the first part of my goal setting methodology system is the guiding principles, which is mainly from, well, PPV. And primarily what we're looking at is the vision. Yeah, I have also implemented an anti-vision, which is basically where I do not want to be in X amount of years, and that is mainly based on a principle that Dan Coe explained in one of his videos, which I watched over a year ago. Okay, so the vision is mainly yeah, okay, this is fine. It's mainly, well, where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be at in life in X amount of years? In my case, I have said in 30 years. So basically, my vision is in 30 years, I want to have achieved, well, the near impossible, the completion of a theory of optimal education. Furthermore, I want to have amassed enough wealth, income, and fame to make the world shudder, as I need this to have influence to start implementing my theory of education worldwide. In addition, I want and need to be the world's leading and biggest authority when it comes to learning, cognition, and education as a whole. I also want to be an established author in normal nonfiction, which is productivity, learning, etc., fiction, and science. Last but not least, I want to be one of the best programmers in the world. The Mind Academy, my company, should be the first place people, whether it be a student, teacher, academic, expert, or professional, should this be? I realize I forgot something. A professional go when they want to learn how to learn efficiently. A diploma from the Mind Academy should have more weight and authority for a person than that of a formal university. Identity-wise, I want to be living the life of an intellectual and logician, spending most of my time reading, thinking, and writing. I do not work a perhaps dull job from 9 to 5. And then a quote from, I think it was Dan Coe, which is, "The worst day working on your ambitions is still better than the best day working on someone else's." In my words and actions, it should be evident that I am one who values the works of the mind, thought, philosophy, science. It will be known that Mr. Hoorn is someone who does not judge. He is one to listen, one who pays attention and gives solid, tailored advice. Additionally, I want to be a devout Christian and Stoic, often spending time in prayer and reflection, also part of the intellectual life. I want to leave behind my sins and my time in pornography. It is vile and destroys my mind. Lastly, in 2054, when I am 49 winters old, I want to be married to, well, she, and have at least one daughter with her. I want to be spending time with my wife and daughters at that point. How and how much depends obviously on them too. And that is basically my vision for in 30 years. Obviously, a lot of it sounds impossible, and what do I want to say? Obviously, a lot of it sounds impossible, but also it is written in such a way that it might come across as stimulating the ego. But the reason I do this is because a vision is what everything else in your life is based off. So a vision must be written in such a way that it motivates yourself to a high degree, that it increases your intrinsic motivation, which is why I write it in such a way that I know it motivates me. It puts me to work. So that is the reason I write it in this way. Okay, so that is the vision. Obviously, the rest of the guiding principles are important too, which is what I value most in life, the purpose that I serve or intend to serve, who depends on me, what I want to deliver for them, why that purpose matters, how I want to show these values and this meaning in my actions, etc. But that is not as important to the goal setting. The vision is the most important in that sense. I also have a 10-year vision, which is 100x, which is based on, certain principles that Dr. Benjamin Hardy mentioned and teaches. I have written this the 3rd of July 2023, so it's been a while. I won't go over this right now. But it is something worth looking into, and I will be looking into integrating this into my system in a more holistic way. Then comes the actual goals. I will close my projects and everything else. Okay, so I have a few value goals. Those are the broadest horizons, as perhaps David Allen would call it. But according to August Bradley, the value goals are goals that are not measurable. They are goals that are needing to motivate you. That need to be big. Not necessarily big, but they need to be ever expanding. So value goals are below the vision, but above the chain of pipelines, of goal pipelines. So I also prioritize them, and I have a few goals, value goals that are important to me, which is being an expert amongst experts within my field, which is learning and education, having a thriving business, serving humanity and bringing great advances, which I will name this. Being a faithful Christian, being as healthy as possible, working as efficiently as superhumanly possible, becoming exalted among men, and being a loving husband, father, and friend, which is currently waiting because I don't yet have a girlfriend nor a child. Obviously, so those are value goals, and then you get the goal outcomes. Goal outcomes are how should I say this? Goal outcomes are basically the smart goals which work towards the value goals. So the horizons of the value goals always keep expanding so long as you still value them. But a goal outcome that has a set goal it is something you want to achieve, that you can measure, that is achievable, realistic, time bound, etc. So a goal outcome should always be related to one or multiple value goals, and a goal outcome is a goal that actually makes you progress toward the ideal state of the value goal you have. Let's see. So currently my active goal outcomes are that I want to publish my book, Efficient Learning in an Inefficient System, which is taking longer than I hoped it would be, but that's also because of some personal issues. So currently I have the projected timeline to be June 30 of 2025. Of course, I hope it will be sooner, but it might also be longer. But yeah, that's something that is actually something that I really, really want to have done. My second outcome goal is to have built my own virtual assistant, something like Jarvis, though much less technologically advanced, or the machine from Person of Interest. and I want to have a Skyrim AI-powered follower mod, which I'm also working on. Those are my current active goal outcomes. Obviously, I have a lot more which are waiting to be done someday, and I will be increasing this. So when we go into the goal outcome, for example, the published book, Efficient Learning in an Efficient System, I'm not sure how much is filled out because it's been a while since I wrote it. The goal is to have my book about efficient learning published by December 2023. Well, that has obviously changed, so I will say by June 2024. Why do I have this goal outcome? This could be a lot more detailed, but it allows me to get an audience. It will also enable me to help students all around the globe. It will help me understand much more about cognition, learning, and education, which I can use for later projects, as well as the course I'm developing. It will kickstart my writing career. So those are a few reasons why I have this goal outcome. And then in the why section, I have a reference, which are the guiding principles. So then I look at the vision and my values, etc., to help me come up with reasons why this goal outcome is important. I also have my value goals there, which are linked to, obviously, for the same inspiration. Then in the goal determination section, I will think of how much time it would require. And this does not mean the total time required in the sense of it will take many months to complete. That is not what I am trying to determine here. I'm trying to determine how much time I need to invest in this on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So like for some goals, it might take months, but I only need to spend a few minutes to an hour a day, or even a week. Well, that does not require much time. But for other goals, it might take a few weeks, but I need to invest 5 hours a day, every day of the week into it. That will require a significant amount of time. So that is what I'm trying to determine here. Then in the goal analysis, which I honestly do not fill in for every single goal, which is also based on Dr. Justin Sung's I Can Study, by the way. But before we continue with that, I will say that everything up to goal determination is something that we fill in immediately, and everything after that only when the goal becomes active, which is to prevent wasting time. And I have this also in my template. Oh yeah, here. Only continue to fill in the rest of the goal once it becomes active, otherwise it's a big waste of time. So in the goal analysis section, which in Dr. Justin Sung's course is called Goal Dissection, I think, we will think of who is the ideal person who achieves this goal. What is he like? What does he need to have in terms of skill, in terms of processes to achieve this goal as best as possible? And obviously I don't write this in for every single goal because it doesn't matter too much for me. Personally, it is highly effective, but only for goals that are really, really important. So I think I should spend some more time for this specific goal into this, but I don't know why, but I haven't done it yet. So the ideal avatar, in this case, I have a great research process, great writing skills, which could be expanded, obviously. I do have, you do have processes required, which are the processes that I need to have in order to accomplish this goal as efficiently as possible. So a few example processes would be having a great workflow to manage money, having a good morning routine so that I can wake up on time and be as productive as possible during the day, etc., etc. And I have 2 tabs here: search the processes and the required processes, which means the search processes are all processes which are not related to this current goal, which means I can easily select them. So, obviously these are also useful for published book. The sleep, because better sleep means more energy, means more productivity, which means higher chances of accomplishing this goal. So then they show up here. And I do not select the active processes here. I will only do that in the alignment zone because I need a complete overview of all the processes I have, because obviously if I select, I have 3 goals, and I select 3 active processes for each goal. That means I have 9 processes to work on at the same time, which is overwhelming and will make failure unavoidable. So that is why I do select this when I have a complete overview of all my goals. And then I select the most important processes, which have the biggest impact on the most amount of goals. Okay, so those are the processes. And in the other part of goal dissection, I have the performance goals. Performance goals are a sort of, you can see it as a child goal of the current goal outcome, but the idea is not to get a lot done. It is more so to build up momentum, because momentum is the key to success. Consistency is required. So you have 2-week performance goals and 30-day, which are monthly performance goals. So they are more they are smaller versions of the goal that work towards the overall goal. I don't know how to explain it any better at this moment. Obviously, if I had scripted this video, I would have a much better explanation. I don't have the performance goals active right now, which I should have. And the reason to this is that I have had a sort of rut for a long period of time, because my laptop died half October last year, and I did not. I could not really do anything really productive. I mean, I could do research, etc., but I did not have my system. And then I moved to my mother, and I needed to get used to some things. So only recently, within the last few days/weeks, I have been slowly building up my productivity levels again. So that is why not everything is filled out. Okay, so then you come into the section of anticipated barriers, which is also completely Dr. Justin Sang's ICA study course. So in here we will, I don't know why I haven't filled it in here, but yeah, how much time do I have available for this goal? Be honest and detailed. So obviously I could say something like, I have nearly all of my time available for this goal, because currently I have no other duties such as physical school or internship or a job, so I can spend as much time on this goal as I want or as is needed. Okay, for any goal this might differ, for any situation and any person this might differ, but this is what I could write down here. So time protection, what am I going to do to protect my time? It must be specific and actionable, no fake intentions. This is not that applicable to me, because I'm fully in charge of my own time. The only thing I must do is some chores in house every now and then, but that's also, I can plan that in. So I do not really need time protection, but for other people this might be like having 1 hour to 2 hours every single day. That is my guarded time. Nothing can come in between that, no matter how important. This is the time I work on this goal. That is something that someone can do. Obviously, like I said, for me that is not too important. Then limiting habits, which is what are some of my habits that could potentially get in the way of my goal. Again, be honest and detailed, because all progress starts by telling the truth, which Dr. Benjamin Hardy always says. Well, limiting habits could be, for some people, including me, watching pornography, not rising up on time, not going to sleep on time, which decreases energy, etc. I'm not going to fill this in right now because I need to actively think about it. Scripted actions for each limiting habit. Come up with a scripted action to counteract it. Refine as needed, but first be consistent with applying it. Now, what is a scripted action? A scripted action is basically a step-by-step process of what you will do when you are about to have to do this limiting habit. So, for example, if you had a limiting habit of becoming distracted when a notification pops up in your phone, you will say, for example, obviously you can turn that away with the environment, but that comes next. But a scripted action could be, in this sense, the first thing is I hear a notification from my phone. The second step could then be I put away my phone, or it is hard to do this like within a few seconds from the top of my head. I hear a notification from my phone. I open my phone. No, I put away my phone. This is like the most basic scripted action possible. For a lot more things, it could be more. It could be much more expanded and detailed, but for notification, it is not this easy, not this difficult. There's another one. For example, I notice I am distracted. That one can be a little more detailed. You can say, for example, I turn my head from my distraction. I slowly walk to the window. I stare out of the window for a few seconds. I walk back to my desk. I get back to work. Why this? Because why this marginal steps is because your brain, you need to trick your brain into stopping the distraction. If you have a too big goal, which could be, if you said, I immediately get back to work, your brain will not like that. You need to trick it, which is why you need to build it in small increments. Obviously, what is needed here differs per person, but yeah, this is an example of a more detailed scripted action. So yeah, and then environmental optimizations. What are some of the optimizations I can do to the environment in order to counteract the limiting habit? And then I remember I need to remind myself of the habit cycle, which is cue, craving, response, reward. Make it impossible, undesirable, difficult, and unsatisfying, which is from James Clear's Atomic Habits. He explains that in great detail. So, for example, if you know you always get distracted because your phone gives you notifications, then obviously you can do something to not even hear the notifications, which is, in my case, I usually set my phone on Do Not Disturb while working deeply, which is enough for me. But for some people, this might not be enough. So what you could then say, when I get to work, I first of all put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and second of all, I put my phone on the other side of the desk or on the other side of the room. For some people, even this might not be enough because they are very addicted to their phone or something. Then you can say, when I'm working deeply, I put my phone completely in another room until I'm done with my work. That is an example of environmental optimizations. So, and then the last part of the goal template is action implementation, which is basically the projects, which are groups of related tasks which work towards this goal. So, this is a project that is currently on hold because, like I said, I haven't looked into my system yet, which is write the section on cognition/learning, which was originally planned to be between July and August, but did not get done. So I need to look into that. Okay, so that is basically the goal template. Then I go back to the alignment zone. No, not the focus zone, the alignment zone. And basically, I have a guideline for the amount of goals you should work on at the same time. And that is, back then I determined this when I still went to school. So obviously I might change this a little bit, but generally it is useful to determine the amount of active goal outcomes based on time availability. While going to school, I recommend to have one goal where you spend a lot of time on, preferably based on a Schwerpunkt, which I will explain in a minute. One goal to spend a moderate amount of time on, one goal to spend a minimal amount of time on. And the time here is again selected based on that input time I explained. So how much time does this require on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, week-to-week basis? Ideally, these goals are determined based on the impact and significance towards the totality of your life. So how much impact does this have on how many value goals? How closer does this bring to my ultimate vision? Okay, and then I have, yeah, and then I have a guideline. There are 3 parts to fill in immediately after creating a goal. The rest should only be filled in once a goal becomes active to prevent wasting precious time. The time required and priority are determined by the first steps in the goal template, while taking into account if now is the right time to do this goal. Reference the why this goal field to guide prioritization. So you can see them in the active goal focus, but in the master database field, I have several why this goal, which is basically a copy of the why section I had showed previously. And then for performance goals, I also have said choose only 1 to 3 active goal outcomes to work on based on the leverage amount of goals it works towards with regards to each goal's priority. And goal outcomes, this should be, I think I should change this to performance goals, but I'm not entirely sure if this is truly what I want, so I will leave it at goal outcomes right now, because I have not been in the system for too long, so I need to decipher what I originally meant. Yeah, that's just basically an overview of all the performance goals. And then this guideline is copied into my overview of the objectives, which are separated by year, 10 years, quarter, month, and week, which is a different part of my system, which I won't go into in this video because it's already becoming quite long. And then the Schwerpunkt, that is something I got from I think from John Boyd's OODA loop explanation, which is basically a German war principle, I think from the Blitzkrieg strategy. But the Schwerpunkt is basically the primary objective, the objective you must not lose out of sight, because otherwise you go into the wrong direction. So it's basically the main priority. And back when I wrote this, it was earning money and setting up my business. And right now it might be changed. So I need to reflect on this and change it most likely. But yeah, that's why I call it the Schwerpunkt, because it's the primary objective for this period in my life. Yeah, I think that is basically my goal setting methodology. I might make a better video of this in the future, a better explanation, but for now, I think this is everything for goal setting. Yeah, I think so. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it wasn't too long for people. And I hope my ranting was not too unclear.